what contributions have happened in the past and will continue to happen in the future. Another discovery, monumental. In the country of Zimbabwe, which is not far, one of your neighbors, they have discovered that in the year of the 1700s, people from East Africa and the Middle East began setting up trading posts along the coast and into what today is the great ruins of Zimbabwe. And the Karenga tribes, which are related to the Vramba tribes, which are related to the Vanda tribes here, which are related to the Zulu tribe. They found that a history of trade and interaction occurred from 1700 throughout this large area of land. They found that the people, the Karenga, today practice circumcision. They believe in one God. There are about 30,000 of them that live right near the ruins. And they recently saw a visitor who spoke Arabic, and they asked him, how did you learn our language? Because we don't teach our language, it's just for our people. So this gentleman said, well, this is the language that I speak every day. They say this is impossible. You couldn't speak this language every day. This is our language. These people have now declared to the world not that they have found Islam as a religion. They have simply stated, we now see the religion we have had for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. We are reaffirming that religion, which supports empirically the challenge that I made the last time that I was here, that Shaka, the name Shaka, is not a Zulu name. It is a name Sheikh, which means leader. And the Vanda and the Veranda and the Karenga have interchanged ideas in vocabulary. So that when I go back to my Zulu roots, or my Hosha roots, or my Karenga roots, or my Igbo roots, or my Arabian roots, and I tell you I'm a Muslim, I'm going home to my roots. The press should be aware and tell Bishop Tutu that we are not taking a foreign religion. People get nervous when they see so many of the indigenous population saying, I'm a Muslim. And some Christians react. Don't react. It's natural. It's natural for me to come here because I'm home. It's natural for the home folks to go home. And therefore, when they find the tenets of Islam, it wakes up in them. They say, yes, I don't know the word. You use a word for this. You use salat. I don't know the word, but I know this is part of the tradition from many, 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 many years. Well, this is an important feature of my presence in South Africa, because some of the white Christians have said that the foreigners are coming. This is a Pakistani or an Indian or an Asian religion or an Arab religion coming to sidetrack our people. I'm not sidetracked. I am involved in the religion that was created, formulated, designed, and presented by Allah. The Quran said, this day are thy enemies in fear of thy religion. I really was hoping that the Pope would be here this trip. I wanted to talk to the Pope. Because if the Pope is here, he will tell you the brother is telling the truth. This day are thine enemies in fear of thy religion. Fear them not. fear me. This day have I first perfected for you religion. Second, I have completed my favor. That means a gift. You didn't earn this. My favor, I have completed it. Allah has done it all unto thee. And have chosen for you religion, al-Islam. So I go back as far as the origin of the creation. That's my religion. So I want, not as a confrontation. I'm not challenging. I like Bishop Tutu, and I'm not even challenging the Pope. I respect the Pope. But I want them to be here because they will have to tell you, we don't perhaps like to say, but the brother is telling you the truth. This is the history. This is. I can show you from the Bible. I can show you from the Quran. I'm in the Bible even. In Daniel, they said the Ancient of Days' hair was as pure lamb's wool. Pure lamb's wool. And then in the book of Revelation, it says the killer of Jesus, this is what John said in the first chapter, was like burnt brass. If it were brass, it would look like me. Burnt brass even more. Now, that's why if the Pope were here, I would ask him to read it and explain it. This is just historical. Solomon said, I'm black and I'm beautiful. Well, he actually said comely, but that means beautiful. So if the wisest man that ever lived said black is beautiful, I would look silly trying to deny that or to debate Solomon. So I want the Christians, not for debate. Don't want to debate. I want to share. I want to say, what do you think this means when they say Jesus looked like burnt brass and his hair was like the lamb of a wool? Or what do you think this coin means when the Roman emperor put Jesus' picture on one side of the coin, it looked like me, and put his picture on the other side of the coin in the 3rd century? What does it mean when the great historian Tacitus, the Roman, the most famous Roman historian, said that the original Jews came from Ethiopia? What does that mean? What does it mean when it says that Moses married an Ethiopian? And even his sister got a little bit uneasy, and Aaron. This is in the Bible. So I want the Jews to come and explain to me from their Bible, what does it mean in their Bible when it says Moses married an Ethiopian? What does it mean when it says that Ishmael's mother is coming from Paran, the land in Africa, and his wife, and he is the father of the Arab race? How I'm going to hate Arabs? Huh? I'm told I should hate Arabs. Don't trust them, and you watch them, and they'll never be reliable. It's like telling me to hate myself. The Bible says that Ishmael's mother was an African, and his wife was an African, and he is the father, and through the Quraysh tribe comes the prophet, peace be upon him, the prophet Muhammad. The Quraysh tribe through Ishmael. We related. In America, no disrespect intended, we would say, brother. When we saw him, brother. Why? Because spiritually we're brothers, and physically we are brothers. Now, if I make these statements and they're not true, someone should correct me. But we want to predicate our remarks on reason, logic, and information. Not emotional. I don't want to say, we all be happy. I'm saying, let's find out about Tacitus, who was there just about the time of Jesus. So if Tacitus, who was there around the time of Jesus, said that the Jews originally came from Ethiopia, what do you think the original Jews looked like? Menachem and Begin? And where did the white Jews come from? All these people in Israel saying that the land is ours, God gave it to us. Are they biologically Jews? Now that's a hot one. I want them to come. And I want them to explain the book, The 13th Tribe, that Arthur Koestler wrote, who said that approximately 90% of all Jews in the world today are not biological Jews. They are children of converts. What does that mean in terms of the Bible? Well, I need the Pope to come, because these are Bible scholars. I'm just a student. This is a scholar, Brother D. Dart. I'm just a student. So I want Bishop Tutu, because every Sunday he is saying to his people, Christianity is a viable method of bringing salvation to South Africa. It may be, but there's some things we need to talk about first. There are a few things, maybe in private, maybe in public. Bishop, come on, brother, because both of us are committed to the people. Both of us believe in the people. So we want to share information, and we want you to hear, to make up your mind. Let the people decide. What is the direction? So I'm saying to my brothers, Bosak and Bishop Toot, come on. If you're in Cape Town, it's not that far. I'm going there. Come meet me. Make me feel at home. Be careful how you entertain strangers. For some, entertain angels unaware. Come and let's have a family reunion. This is what I'm here. The clerk the same. There are some things I want to discuss with Mr. de Klerk. There's some historical things, and there's some present day things. I don't want him to make a mistake. I don't want Nelson Mandela to make a mistake. I don't want Pac to make a mistake. And I don't want to make a mistake. So I cannot go around lecturing, Pac, you better do this, ANC, you better... Listen, I'm not silly. I simply want to say some of the things that have been attributed to you in the press that I have read. In a different area of the world, we tried it, and it was a mistake. It created schisms. We started fighting each other. We didn't see that we were being manipulated. Not with a gun, we were being manipulated with the mind. And because we lost the vision and the perspective, we fell into a trap. Let me share with you how it happened, in the hope that something that happened to me you can avoid. There is no sense for us going back into panels of mistakes if we can avoid them. So I'm saying many of the things that the brothers here are going through now, we have been through them. And I sadly have to tell you, in most cases, we have messed up. In America, we made a lot of terrible, silly, and mature-ish mistakes. We were sincere. We were enthusiastic. We thought we were on the right path, but we didn't think through the entire program. We responded to words. We got excited. Uhuru, freedom now. Say, yes, let's get it. But someone has to eat, and someone has to cook, and someone has to have an economy that works, and someone has to address the problems of the African woman and the burden that she has faced in this country and all over the world. Someone has to face the problem of alcoholism. Someone has to face the problem of AIDS. Someone has to face the problem of health care. And these are not going to disappear by quoting any magic word. There are no magic words. There is discipline, there is sacrifice, there is hard work, and there is a plan of action to channel the energy. The history, when African people begin to recognize the great contributions we made over the world, it brings about a new life. We get excited. You will too, everyone. Say, we didn't know Africans did this, and we are part of, you're part of Africa. Don't say, no, this is not for us, we're Asian and that's for them. We're all African. Be proud of what we've done as I'm proud of what you've done. But as we move this energy, it has to be channeled somewhere. As an example, let us assume that there are 15 groups in Durban. 15. I would give each group a responsibility. Whatever they are doing, continue to do it. But in addition to that, develop over the next 8 years 1 doctor, 1 engineer, and 3 businessmen. Every time your group meets, put it on the chart. How close are we, our group, to reaching this goal? So there's a plan. At the end of 8 years, we can predict we will have 30 times 8. Our focus will be not in rhetoric. It will be in practical, deliberate measures. I want 2 million jobs. Put that in the paper. I have a plan for developing 2 million new jobs in South Africa without begging, without going to the United Nations and then to the World Bank and then to the International Monetary Fund and then to the Red Cross and then to the Middle East, begging and begging. It destroys your dignity. We in America begged all our lives. I know the life of a beggar. 2 million jobs. And then we need 3 million every year just to keep up with the population growth. This is what I want to be talking about Wednesday. Specific things, not just general rhetoric. Specific goals and targets in healthcare, economic development, education, specific targets, and what can be done by the Christians, the Muslims, even the communists, and what is the likelihood that they will do it. Because just to say you should do this and you should do this when there's no probability that's going to be done is a nice exercise, but that is not why I'm here. I want to assess what's the probability that the Muslims will discharge their responsibility so the people will know that they can plan. What's the probability that the communists or the Christians will or will not? So I need everyone there. I need the communists there, the fascists there, the Nazis there, so that they can say no or yes. The Christians, the Muslims, everyone to come to the family reunion. Wednesday night is the family reunion, the homecoming. Are there any other questions? Yes, sir.
You mentioned 2 million jobs. This country is in a trial and error recession. Agreed?
Absolutely.
Where would the 2 million people start?
What jobs they would start with?
Would the 2 million people be South Africans, Americans, Japanese, or Jews, or?
I want 2 million jobs for South Africans.
Yeah, all mixed.
Where would they start?
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. I'm not talking about charity.
Well, sure.
I'm not talking about volunteer work. I'm not talking about 2 million people going out and standing on a corner with a cup. I'm talking about 2 million jobs where people are proud of their compensation. Their families are happy when they count the money coming in, and the country is proud of what has been achieved. 2 million jobs. I am not going to give you 2 million jobs. I'm simply providing a plan for all of us, but we have the goal in mind. We want 2 million jobs right away. Now, as you've indicated, to discuss 2 million jobs in a vacuum is an exercise in poetry. One has to look at this economy as it today exists. The role that the sector, the mining sector, which is now shrunk down to 14% of the economy. The effect of the sanctions that has taken liquidity from the country. The difficulty in obtaining capital from the banks just for small businessmen to turn over to support their business. The onslaught of large shopping centers that are wiping out small businesses. I don't want you to think that I came to South Africa ignorant. I don't know everything, but I did try to study, and I did try to prepare so that the suggestions that I make are practical. I am not a dreamer. My responsibility is to carefully and professionally analyze, not just myself, but with my friends and associates, specific targets, and that is what I have done. So I'm saying to Mr. de Klerk, we don't have all the answers, but we have some answers that I haven't heard from any of the politicians in this country yet. We have some suggestions that I have not heard from any of the social workers yet. And Wednesday night, we are going to share those. And we're letting all of the people of South Africa know that we are available. If you can only meet at 1 in the morning, I will be ready at 1 in the morning. If you can only meet at 3 in the morning, I will be available at 3 in the morning. If you can only meet at 6 in the morning, I will be available at 6 in the morning. Whatever time it takes to develop a consensus and get the work started. And I want to keep talking. I want the action, the work to be implemented so we can come back and say there are the 2 million jobs. Yes?
One more question. The exploitation, one word. How are you going to overcome that?
Well, first of all, I have to understand what it means without trying to be intellectually cute. Because in all of life, there is, depending on how one defines the word, exploitation. I'm going to use something. I'm going to use my hand. I'm going to use my nervous system. If I respond to your question, I'm using my brain power, and part of that brain power will not return. Part of the energy that I use will not return. So I make a judgment. Should I invest my adrenaline and my energy and my brain power to answer your question and utilize myself, or should I not? If I provide an employment opportunity for my brother, I'm going to use him, he's going to use me. It is a mutual exploitation if we use that word. It is a mutual exploitation. It becomes disadvantageous when I exploit him unreasonably. When I take advantage through theft or trickery or lies, then that becomes an objectionable exploitation. It's like 1652 when Mr. Van Rambrecht came to this country from the Dutch East Indian. And he had written several letters back before he came here and said that the Khoikhoi is all down around the Cape. And I hate them. They're black and they're uncouth. He wrote it. It's history. And then years later, he took their land. And the Bible says, thou shalt not steal. But he did steal the land. And then he virtually enslaved the Khoikhoi people. And then they developed a lie, saying that we came here, there was no one here. And there were a few people running around, but they're no longer in existence, so therefore we owe them nothing, so the land is ours. That is an unjust exploitation. To come here as missionaries and see the people with the land. And Wednesday I'm going to document. It is just fabulous. Fabulous. When you read the Shafnisi report, a ship named Shafnisi was shipwrecked off the coast. And the sailors lived 3 years in the innerland. They were saved. And they lived 3 years, and they described the African way of life, written down. Now when you read that document, and then you read the apartheid saying there was no one there, or we came at the same time, when the history shows 1,000 years, people were smelting copper and iron before any Europeans came. So when you put the documents together and you review the history, that is exploitation. But if I say to you, my brother, I want to go from this point to this point, and I would like you to come with me, and let us agree that if we do this, this will be how we will share. You do this much work, I will do this much work, and this is how we will share. If I keep my word and you keep your word, that to me is not an unjust exploitation. The 2 jobs that I have in mind do not envisage unjust exploitation. I wouldn't come here to suggest injustice. I have seen too much. I've been the victim too long. However, I'm not coming here suggesting charity and begging. I'm suggesting dignity. I'm suggesting hard work and discipline. If I work all day long and you choose not to work, do not accuse me of exploiting you. If you are strong and you have the ability, if you don't have ability, you're handicapped, that's another matter. I'm saying you are strong and you have the ability to work, but you decide, for whatever reason, the sun is out, it is bright, and the beach is nice, why don't, maybe tomorrow I will. Then when you see that I have worked, or Allah has given me something, and you say, I'm entitled to that, that's mine. Now, this is condemned in the Quran. Sometimes in my travels I find people, it's very interesting to me, in the Middle East, who say all of the oil of Saudi Arabia, all of the oil of Kuwait, and all of the oil of the Emirates, this is mine. I'm an Arab and I'm a Muslim, and therefore it's all mine. Who gave it? Allah gave it. Allah told you that? Allah said, I'm giving you the oil? It's like the Jews going into Palestine. Say, it's our land. God gave it to us. The Quran says, do not be covetous of what God has given your brother. Be proud of it. That is a human challenge, because that goes against the grain. We would like to think we can do it. It's nice to say, oh, Brother D-Dard, you work so hard. But in your heart, you say, yes, he did work, but he had all the help. He couldn't do it. Why the buts? This is in the Quran. And Wednesday I want to discuss this. This is part of why I'm here. But I'm saying now, don't covet something that's not yours. Why not get your own? My dear friend and sister, Aretha Franklin, following in the footsteps of Billie Holiday, sang the song, Mama may have, and Papa may have, but God bless the child that has his own. That's why I'm here. I want the people to have their own. And don't abuse it after you get it. Don't repeat the process of unjust exploitation of others. Look at history, look at proper moral guidance, and do the right thing. That's the real challenge. Not what he did or he did, but what are we doing with what we have? I want to ask the clerk the same. I'm going to say, Brother de Klerk, I can call him brother, I'm not being disrespectful. How could the missionaries come here with nothing, broke, and have the Bible, and then they end up with all the land, I think 87% at the last count, and the Africans have the Bible, have all the land? Come on. If you don't want to discuss it in front of others, but you have to tell me something. I want to ask him. 95% of all of the assets of production in South Africa are owned by whites. 95%. We have to have a balance. We have to have a review session. However, to take 90% or 95% of the assets and turn them into an arrangement that causes it all to collapse, this is not wisdom. So we are thinking together. What is a good balance? I don't have the answer, but I have suggestions. I say to our brothers, the labor unions, and the brothers at the ANC, and the brothers at in Katabat, I was saying, what is Brother Biko? PAC.
Yes.
1959. I'm saying let us systematically, negotiation is one thing, I understand politicians do that. I'm not a politician. Politicians say things in the newspaper back and forth. I'm not a politician. I want to know, when all the words are said and all the smoke is exchanged, what is the plan for the people? We are servants of the people. What can we honestly promise the people? Economically, socially, educationally. What can we really do? Right, so I want all of my friends, again, to come and let us reason together. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Doctor, you mentioned earlier AIDS, just in passing.
Yes.
And right at the beginning, you mentioned projected figures for the population of Africa. Remember correctly, 1,600,000,000.
That's correct.
That's on the one hand. And on the other hand, we get all these reports, very pessimistic pictures being painted of Africa being depleted by AIDS. You have extensive experience in Africa. I would like to hear your views.
My experience is that there are two types of AIDS, HIV-1 and HIV-2. The AIDS that tends to characterize areas in the third world appears from all research to date to be